Hello, 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 everyone. Sorry, my shawl is falling. So I just got through teaching. So you're just gonna have to watch me put my shawl back on. It's the purple dress today, which is very lovely, but my house is actually a little chilly. I am on top of it. I got my kettle already running today. Um, yeah. So hi everybody. It's Tuesday. It has been a long weekend already. It's been a long week and it's only Tuesday. How is that even possible? It's because I don't do mornings and I have to be up really early. So it's always a long, long morning, a long day. But welcome. My name is Dr. Sasheen. If you are new to the channel, I run a blog called Women in Transition. It's actually a podcast, but since I don't put the audio anywhere else right now, though that will change. Um, you can catch all episodes on my YouTube channel, Dr. Sasheen, which is my name down here in the corner. So it's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, we take a break together. We spend about 30 minutes chit chatting, having a cup of tea. I'm having regenerative again today because I'm feeling a little, the pollen has just got my throat scratchy. Um, so I'm having a little regenerative organic zen biologique. I do love how they put that in there. Anyway, it's a crisp green tea with lemongrass and spearmint. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a cup of tea. We talk about something. It could be something important. It could be something not important. It's just kind of wherever the whim takes us. Last week we talked about hair dye. It was great, and we have a break, a time to decompress in the middle of the day. For most of you, you've been up for a while. You probably had to be at work early. And so now you're either on a break or getting ready to potentially even go to lunch, depending on where you are. And so this is an opportunity for you to take a step out of the rat race, the noise, the den, and breathe. So hopefully, as you join me for the next 30 minutes, 28 minutes now, you'll get a chance to just breathe a little bit. Breathe and release. Breathe and release. Because I think it's really important to breathe and release, especially today. Make sure this thing's on. Especially today, because so many things have happened. That's my oven. So many things have happened over the weekend in the world, and it can be a lot. Like the noise can be a lot. And when I say noise, please don't get offended and think I'm calling some major things happening just noise, background noise. I'm not. But to the brain, it's all noise that it's trying to make sense of. So I'm just using the term noise to encompass everything that the brain is trying to process, right? Trying to process. That can be very hard to process because there's so much of it. I could call it stimulation as well, if that makes people feel better. My tea bag is ready. My tea kettle, as you know, if you catch my channel, you know that I am a tea kettle kind of girl. I actually have a tea kettle, and let's make sure I'm gone live because sometimes I'll be thinking I'm live and I'm not actually live, which will be kind of funny to have this whole conversation and then not actually be live. If you come in, say hey. If you catch the replay, say hey. Either way, say hey. Let me know you're here. Let me go to my channel and see if I can see myself. I can see myself. I cannot see myself. I take that lie back. Um, I can. I can see myself and I can hear myself. Okay, I don't want to hear an echo, so we're going to turn that off. I also have my microphone today because I literally came from something else right before this to this, and I didn't want to have to redo the whole setup. So you got the fuzzy pink microphone today. And if that's not enough to bring a smile to your face, daggone it, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna worry about you. Because fuzzy pink microphone covers should make anyone at least chuckle because they're so fuzzy. Anyway, all right, I have my tea. I have my tea bag. It's the white kitty cat today. It was the black kitty cat last time. I have my tea. I have my tea bag. Let me go put some water in and let's get to cracking. I do have the tea kettle. The water has boiled perfectly and we're good. Okay, fantastic. Now, as we all know, every week we have to wait for the tea to cool down enough for me to actually drink it. So what are we going to talk about this morning? Besides the fact that my dress has a tassel on it and it bumps up against everything, so I keep thinking that something's falling and it's not. Um, if no one comes in, I'm just going to stream of conscious, not stream of conscious. I always have a potential topic on hand. Um, to talk about. But if someone does come in and there's something you want to chat about, let me know. So I do want to talk to you. This morning I had um, a really great conversation which I want to share with you in case it helps someone out there in the day who might need to hear it. Um, and I think it might help put into perspective some of the crazy behavior sometimes that people engage in. So while my tea is cooling, because I can't really drink it at the moment, it's too hot, let me talk to you about emotional intelligence and how much people don't actually have emotional intelligence. Even people who claim that they do have a lot of emotional intelligence tend to not have a lot of emotional intelligence. Because one of the hallmarks of good emotional, or high, not good or bad, there's no judgment there. But one of the hallmarks of high emotional intelligence is the ability to understand the root of our own emotional responses. And far, far, far too many people do not understand the root of their own emotional responses, even though they're having an emotional response. It always cracks me up. And I mean, it really does. When I say it cracks me up, I'm not just being hyperbolic. It cracks me up when people are like, oh, I don't feel strong emotions. I'm not emotional creatures. Y'all, come on now. It's like, come on, like legitimately, come on now. People are highly emotional, highly emotional. Um, they just think because they don't react in certain ways that they have a handle on their emotions, but they don't. So anyway, I was having this conversation about emotional intelligence because I'm teaching a class. And one of the things that I always have to remind people is that emotions are complicated and they're complex, but they're also really straightforward. They're gonna react, like they're gonna show up. They're just gonna show up, and it's your job to figure out what to do with them when they get there. Because we're all gonna feel something. Um, and jealousy is a really strong emotion that's usually a combination of three different other emotions. And unless you know the root of your jealousy, you can't stop being jealous. You can't stop being jealous of people. Whether they've done anything to you or not makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. So jealousy is usually this combination of anger, fear, and sadness. And one of those usually is the pulling. I like to call it the pulling emotion, even though the other ones might be riding in the car. One of them is usually driving, but they're all in the car. That's what jealousy is. It's this combination of really strong primary emotions. And unless you know which one's driving your car, then you can't stop the car. And that is what is happening to so many people. They're afraid, they're sad, or they're angry. And that all comes into this jealousy thing. And they will fight you to the death, right? To say that they're not jealous, but they really are. They're jealous of something about you that just triggers one of those really strong emotions. So as we were having this conversation, I was talking my class through this since, hey, whoever's out there. As I was talking them through this, and I was telling them and explaining to them that part of the reason that people can't stop being jealous is because they don't know what they're really feeling. You can extrapolate this out to anything, anything. Because they don't really know what they're feeling. And if jealousy is really this car full of anger, sadness, and fear riding around together, right? Trying to see what kind of mischief they can make. If you don't know which one of those three things are driving, how are you going to stop being jealous of something? If you don't know it's because you're afraid of losing someone, that's really what's driving your jealousy, how are you going to stop being jealous? If you can't figure out it's because you're sad that what you thought was true and right about the world is no longer true and right about the world because this person exists, how are you going to stop being jealous? If you're angry because you just feel a sense of righteous indignation that this person has the audacity to have something that you don't, how are you going to stop being jealous? How are you going to stop being jealous? You're not. And people react out of jealousy all the time. All the time. They get on television and react out of jealousy. They write op-ed pieces reacting out of jealousy. They call you on the phone and leave snarky text messages acting out of jealousy. I would love for the world to be more emotionally intelligent. I would absolutely love for us to have a better handle on what we're feeling and why we're feeling it. But that, sadly, is a skill, not a gift. It is a skill. And it's a skill that can be learned, and far too many adults don't want to learn. So here we are in a world full of crazy people reacting out of their big ass strong emotions. And yes, I curse, and I'm going to continue to do that. So, and instead of going, you know what? Let me figure out a way to manage this emotion better so that I can stop, destroying everything around me. They just keep destroying everything around them. So what do we do on tea break? We find a place in that destruction to say, not my problem. Your inability to control your very strong emotions, unfortunately, behaviorally might be the problem that I need to solve. but your emotions are not mine to carry. And I really wish that so many more of you out there would stop carrying the water for people's emotional outbursts. Stop carrying the weight of their emotional outbursts as if it's something that is your problem to solve. It's not. Last week we talked about a friend of mine who dyed her hair, right? And the she dyed her hair this really beautiful, like magenta color. It was color blocking. It was so edgy and cute and just adorable, right? And in the end, because of the jealousy of people around her, their insecurities, and her own, she went and got her hair dyed strawberry blonde. She got rid of the magenta, got rid of the bold out loud in your face, and even though it wasn't really in your face because it was in the back of her hair. But either way, it made her stand out and be noticed in ways that made other people jealous. Now, they wouldn't have said that they were jealous, but you can recognize it when you see it. Like, it's not like people can hide it very well. But instead of saying, we're just afraid that you're looking different makes us look ordinary, they convinced her that her looking different was a problem. I don't want you to let people do that to you anymore. This is not right. We're not going to keep letting people convince us that we are the problem for their inability to manage their emotions. We're not interested. Let's make some tea. We're still too hot to drink. Just for the record, we are still entirely too hot to drink. But I think it's really telling that so much rhetoric that surrounds our lives, especially right now, it's coming from people who don't know how to manage their own emotional states, and so they're just regurgitating, for lack of a better word, their emotional immaturity all over everybody else. And so I don't necessarily believe in passively letting people just over you because it makes them feel better, but you end up feeling worse. I'm not the one or the two on that one. I think we find places where we suppress our emotional reactions to people like that out of self preservation, fear, whatever, right? But it doesn't do us any good to do that. It really doesn't. It doesn't do us any good, and it doesn't do them any good. And honest to God, I mean, come on, y'all. For those of you who have kids, at some point toddlers grow up and you stop having to manage their emotions for them. But unfortunately for entirely too many of us, we end up with people in our lives who don't seem to outgrow their toddler years. And instead of telling them to get over it, we manage their emotions for them while also trying to simultaneously manage ours. Hang on, I gotta stir. All right, we have storage. Hey, Cicely, good to see you. I'm waxing over here. I'm waxing philosophical about emotional intelligence because I just got through teaching a whole class about it and having another conversation about it with a colleague. Good morning to you. I'm having a cup of tea. This day it's the tea with the white key cap. And I'm waiting for it to cool because it's entirely too hot. So as I was saying though, I mean, honest to God, if you look at the world right now through the lens of emotional intelligence, what you realize is there are a bunch of adults who don't know how to regulate their very strong emotions. Their their heightened emotions are getting the best of them. And instead of people saying back, you need to go sit in the corner, which we would do with a toddler, instead of people saying that, they're trying to figure out ways to manage the emotional state of grown people. Grown people. I want you to imagine life where you do not have to regulate the emotional state of grown people, where your job isn't to regulate and help them figure out how to regulate their strong emotions so they stop destroying things. Because I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but toddlers grow up. And because they don't learn emotional regulation from their parents, they grow up to be emotionally unregulated adults. And then we put them in positions of authority. Oh, it's a dress. Sorry. You can't see it, but it's a whole dress. And I have a shawl on because I'm a little chilly. So, it's a whole dress. Um, it's, you know, I just, as I was thinking about what could we talk about today, I was like, this is a great topic because I just know that if we could remind adults that they're no longer toddlers and that we're not responsible for their big emotions or their bad behavior, the world would be so much better place. The world would be so much of a better place. So I have this. I was talking about jealousy, Cicely. You know where I'm going with this. I was talking about jealousy because really, if people, women, if we could recognize that jealousy, where it's coming from, then we could take the teeth out of it. When you react to someone's message, response, or whatever from a place of jealousy, we can smell it a mile away. Like we can smell it. We know it's there. We know that it's a sense of jealousy. We don't know exactly which major emotion is driving your jealousy. We don't know if you're afraid of something. We don't know if you're angry about something or if you're just sad about something. But jealousy has a stench to it that we just can recognize. And once we recognize it as the recipient of that jealousy or people who are in community with your jealousy, people start to pull away because they don't understand what you're mad about. And you don't even understand what you're mad about because jealousy, again, as I was saying earlier in my analogy, it's like you're in the car with anger, sadness, and fear. One of them is driving. I don't know who's driving. It's not my emotion. You don't know who's driving because you're so caught up in the emotions you can't see straight. All we know is you're behaving badly. That's all we know is that you're behaving out of character. And far too often, instead of calling people out on their bad behavior, we let them coast and we end up in terribly toxic relationships because we let people coast on their bad outbursts, their bad emotional outbursts, instead of saying, you know what? I recognize that you are jealous, which is a triggering word. I get it, but hear me out. I recognize that you are jealous about something. And what I need to understand is, are you mad at me? Are you afraid of me? Or are you sad for me? Because I can do something with one of those emotions, but I can't do anything with this jealousy that you don't know where it came from, but you're reacting as if I did something to you. And then what happens, right? We lose relationships. Now, we probably should lose some of these relationships. That's actually where I'm going. See, y'all thought I was going to say we need to figure out what's going on with people. Remember those toddlers who grow up to be adult toddlers because no one ever told them how to regulate their emotional state and not regurgitate all over other people just because you're having a bad day? Those people need to get therapy. And you are not a therapist. You're not a therapist. It is the mark of a being an adult to be able to say, I don't know why I'm mad or sad or angry or fearful. But what I'm not going to do is take it out on you. I'm not going to do that to you because this is my emotion, not your emotion. That's what it means to grow out of toddlerdom. Far too many people are stuck in the no, but if I feel it strongly, then you have to feel it too and just deal with it. Says who? Right, my cutoff game is strong. Mine is too. I will be like, I'll give you three. I will give you three chances. Once, the first time, I'm going to look at you funny, but I'm going to let you back in. The second time, I'm going to look at you funny and I'm not going to let you all the way back in. So you're going to come up to me and I'm going to put some distance between us because you're not safe anymore. I don't know what's going on with your strong emotions, but apparently you don't either, and I'm not your therapist. There's not going to be a third time. So that's those three chances is because on the third time, you won't even realize that you didn't get back in again because I'm done. Because I'm not doing it. Because I'm not doing it. It is again, like I was saying earlier. I was teaching about emotional intelligence not even an hour ago, and one of my students cornered me after class, not cornered, but wanted to talk more about this idea of emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. And so we were having this conversation, which is why I was running a little bit late this morning. Because as I was trying to explain to her, it isn't that adults can't be emotionally regulated, it's a skill. Like you have to learn it. Most of us aren't taught in our families to regulate our emotions because most adults are emotionally dysregulated. Good morning, Amy. Most adults are emotionally dysregulated. They don't have a good sense of their own emotional state at any given time to help children figure out their emotional state. So then we raise children who are emotionally dysregulated and the cycle continues. But you can absolutely learn the skill of emotional regulation. That's true emotional intelligence, is recognizing that you have a deficit somewhere and filling that in with skills that you don't have. And she was like, oh, so just because you're raised in a certain way doesn't mean that you have to stay that way. Breakthrough, breakthrough, right? And I just wish that we lived in a time where people were open to the reality that part of what's happening is a lot of really intense people running around in dysregulation. Now, I also said just because people are dysregulated does not excuse bad behavior. And I had to let her know because she was talking about some things which I will not disclose. But what I said to her, dysregulation doesn't excuse bad behavior. It simply does not. You don't get the right to regurgitate all over somebody else's life because your life is going poorly. You can learn how to regulate. You can gain emotional intelligence is like a muscle, right? Like any other muscle. You just work it. You work it, it gets bigger and stronger. But what you don't get to do is let that muscle be weak and then blame everybody else for your weak muscles and then promptly burn everybody else's house down because you don't know how to build your own muscles. You don't get to do that. And she was like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. Right. Because, daggone it, we got a lot of toddlers running around in the world right now who have let their dysregulated emotional state allow them to behave in ways that are coming back to bite them. I said it. I'm gonna keep on saying it. Yes, it was just what it was a good conversation. I teach this lecture several times. I've taught it over the years. Whew, can't even tell you how many times. But it's always a good lecture and it's always a good conversation with my students and with other people because if you think about being a grown woman and how much emotional labor that you do, right? How much emotional labor are you doing all the time managing other grown people and their big old emotions because they can't figure it out? Because they can't figure it out. Absolutely correct. Affects the nervous and parasympathetic nervous systems. Absolutely correct. In fact, one of the things I stressed to my students this morning is in light of a lot of things that are happening in the world, I said, big emotion requires a big physiological response. That is why people react instead of stopping and thinking about their reactions because they get caught up in a big emotion and they don't know how to regulate it. So instead of working on the regulation, which allows them the space to breathe, the space to move, and the space to deliberate, they react. They have to do something with all that energy now because they're caught in that emotion. They're caught up in it. And so that's also why after a big emotional event, people come down and they crash so hard, right? All of a sudden folks can't get out of bed. They'll be depressed as hell for the next 3 months because they won't know how to deal with the aftermath of that big emotion. Y'all, we need to have somebody in charge of the world who can help folks regulate their emotional responses, not get rid of them. Like, this is the hard part that people don't always understand, right? We feel things deeply because we are human beings being human. We have the right to feel things. You have the right to feel deeply. Love, relationships, hate, if that's what you're going to feel it, knock yourself out, right? We are humans being. And because we are humans being, we are going to be humans feeling things all the time. But what we don't have the right to do is then make it everybody else's problem when we can't regulate our responses to those big emotions. And that's what's happening. It's far too many folks are trying to say, oh, but you all need to fix my problem because I'm too emotional about it. Hmm. Let me drink some tea because I'm going to get myself banned if I'm not careful. How are you all today? I've been yammering on about emotions and emotional intelligence and having a whole conversation. I do too, Cicely. I refuse to deal with people who try to make it my responsibility to regulate their emotional state. Like, I am raising a child. My job is to help my child understand their emotions, feel them, regulate them in a way that allows them to function in the world, build empathy for other people without letting them walk all over them. That is my job. I'm raising my toddler. I'm raising who's no longer a toddler. I'm raising my child. And I want to talk to people who are constantly like, well, he just feels so much. Okay. Good for him, because who doesn't? What makes your feelings special? I don't know. Y'all know me. It's the Gemini in me. I'm very practical about some things, and this is one of those very practical. I'm a Gemini sun with a Capricorn moon. I am extraordinarily pragmatic when it comes to certain things. And part of that pragmatism says your big emotions are not my problem. Not my problem. I don't have to fix that for you. And then unfortunately, people get elected to public office, and you know, here we are. Anyway, I hate that that's just the world would be such a better place if regulated people, emotionally regulated people were in charge. Just not people who didn't feel anything. Like we want people to feel things because feeling things is what lets you empathize, right? Our feelings allow us to empathize, but daggone it. Whew, we've got to work out how to make it a functional world where big emotions don't get to just destroy everything. And that goes not just for the big society, right, but for our personal lives. Because too many of us have been caught in relationships with people that their big emotions destroyed our relationships. And it's like, why did you do that? Why would you do that? Sadly, I had to go through. You know what? I think I can put these. Can I put these on? I can. And I figured out the button. I'm so slow this morning. I'm tired. Um, as did I. As did I. I was married to my ex-husband. We have a child together, but he's my ex-husband. Coming out of that, I had to figure out. I had to figure it out. I had to figure out where in this relationship did my role. Where was my role in that? Because there was not necessarily equal blame to go around in certain things that happened, but I was not innocent, and I needed to recognize that to have a healthier relationship in the future with someone, I needed to figure out what my patterns were that were getting me into the relationships that I didn't want to have. Right? I wasn't managing my own emotions very well, and I wasn't being honest with some of the things that I needed. Um, and yes, once you come through your own, once you pull the wires out of your dysregulated functioning, and you start to rewire them in ways that are functional, you do recognize that a lot of people are operating out of an unhealthy functional place. They just are. They just are. And like I said, emotional intelligence is a skill. It's a skill that can be learned. It's a muscle that can be flexed. Like I was talking about a few weeks ago, courage is a muscle that we have to use, or it atrophies. When what happens? We start becoming more and more afraid of everything around us. We fear our neighbors, we fear the world, we fear the dollar, we fear everything, because courage is a muscle that has to be used in order for it to be relevant. And when we stop being courageous, when we stop taking risk, our courage atrophies. The same thing happens with our emotions, with our emotional intelligence. When we stop regulating and remembering that we're in charge of our own emotions here, we are in charge of how we react. I'm going to feel the big feeling, but what I do with that big feeling, that's on me. When we stop exercising that muscle, it atrophies, and we lash out and we become dysregulated adults again. And I don't know about y'all, but when my nervous system dysregulates, my whole life dysregulates. Everything starts to go wrong. All of a sudden, it feels like I can't pull a positive thing because the negative keeps finding me. And that's usually because I am now dysregulated in some way, and I need to figure out what emotion am I allowing to draw me down, to sink me under, and how can I unpack that in a way that allows me to get back up on my feet and be more present to what I'm feeling. Um, oh, I'm glad that so I needed to hear that. I don't remember what piece, but I'm glad I said it. And hi, Michelle. It's good to see you. Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping up soon. I've just been yammering. Amy and Cicely have been in here just let me yammer away about emotional intelligence. Waiting for the tea to cool finally so that I could actually drink some of it because I'm a little scratchy. This morning, the typical weather pattern for the Midwest of the United States is it was 75 and beautiful 4 days ago. Then it was 95, no, 102 2 days ago, and today it's somewhere in the 80s. So the pollen is having a field day with all of us right now. The sniffles and sneezes are just crazy. The courage, yes. Um, Cicely, if I get a TED Talk, I'm calling you. I'm calling you. It's you and me. The courage analogy, I did a video on that, Amy. Gosh, it was a few weeks ago. It says on my channel, courage is a muscle. I learned that the hard way for myself because okay, so I know we got to wrap up here soon, and I'll let you all go. Hi, Ellie, because I know I'll get to talking, and y'all got things to do. This is a tea break. But I used to tell people I went back to school to get my doctorate in my 30s. I was one of the oldest people in my cohort. Everybody else around me was in their like 20s. They were straight out of their bachelor's degree. Um, they had gone straight through bachelor's, master's, PhD, so they were like in their mid 20s. And here I come along in my 30s as this older woman getting my doctorate. And I remember when I applied for the program, I got rejected the first time, and people were like, well, maybe you should think about doing something else. But I have always had this very weird thing in my brain that says, but can't you just try again? I know this didn't work the first time, but could you just try one more time? So I applied to my dream school, didn't get in. Then I applied to my second dream school, and I did get in. And then they said, but we don't have any money for you. And I was like, oh, I can't afford to go get a PhD with no money. And I don't want to take out any more student loans than I had to. I was going to take out some, but to take out all of them. Ooh. Anyway, so one day on a whim, y'all, on a whim, I decided to get in the car and drive down to the new school. That and just I just decided I'm gonna go. I had no plan. Ladies, I had no plan. I'd been accepted into the program. I didn't know how I was gonna pay for it. I didn't know what I was gonna do. All I knew was that they had said yes, and I wasn't gonna let them tell me no. So me and my roommates at the time decided to drive down to Columbia, Missouri and just walk around. I'd never been on a college campus like that before. I didn't do the traditional route. My circuitous route through BA and my MA, I worked all the time. I'd never been a traditional college student. And I thought, I'm just gonna go see what happens because my brain is just like, just try, just go see. What have you got to lose? Like that voice in my head happens all the time. What have you got to lose? There's a point to this story, I promise, and I will wrap it up. So we drive down there, 2.5 hours down from where I was living to the school that accepted me with my roommates, get to the campus, find the building where I supposedly could be spending the next 4 years if I can figure out how to pay for it. Walk in, meet the secretary, and she's like, oh, you should go upstairs and meet the director. He's here. Walk upstairs, walk into John's office and introduce myself. And he says, I was going to call you. And I was like, really? Why? We got you a full fellowship funded for 4 years. That's how I ended up getting my PhD because I was of the mindset that if the universe was going to provide me with a door, even if it was a sliver, I was going to take a crowbar and wedge that puppy open the rest of the way. So when I say that courage is a muscle that we have to flex and work, that girl who went and did that thing, when I am at my scaredest, I have to go back and remember, flex the courage muscle. Flex the courage. It's okay. You can flex this courage muscle. It may not turn out exactly how you think it's going to, but it will turn out better than you can imagine if you'll just try, Sasheen. Just try. Which is why my life has been full of really great experiences that on the surface scared the crap out of me and everybody else around me. I left Colombia 4 years later and I moved to an island in the middle of the Caribbean without an ID. I had a job and a car and not much else. I didn't speak the language. I That's the story for a whole nother day. All that to say, Amy, when I say courage is a muscle that we have to use, there have been many points in my life where my courage muscle atrophied to the point where I couldn't flex it even if I wanted to. And I regret those moments only. I don't regret much, but I regret moments when I'm like, I really wish I would have, and I'm really sad that I didn't. it's because my courage wasn't being flexed. I didn't use it enough. And if we don't use it, we lose the muscle. We lose the muscle. Okay, I am talking y'all's ear off, and this is supposed to be a tea break. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, Ellie and Michelle and Amy and Cicely and whoever else may be out there that watches this. Please engage with us. Say hey. Oh, thank you so much for joining, Amy. I really appreciate it. Yes, it is. Cicely, I'm gonna be telling it to us both. It is a muscle that we have to work. We have to work it, or it atrophies, and we will regret. For those folks like, well, don't live in regret. No, you're gonna regret the things that you wanted, but you didn't have the courage to go try. You're not gonna regret the stuff that you didn't care about. You're gonna regret the stuff that you're like, I really want to try that, and I just don't know that I can. Right? You're gonna regret that stuff, but you can't try if you're scared all the time. We don't need to be scared all the time. We're mighty. We can do anything. Okay, I gotta go. I got class to teach. I'm gonna be late. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. If this is your first broadcast with me, I hope you enjoyed it. If not, hopefully you'll just tell me why and what I can do to make it better. I will see y'all again on Thursday when the regular video drops, and for sure next Tuesday live for our tea break. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.